Hello, friends, and welcome to Pod Return to the Waking Sands. We are a Final Fantasy XIV companion podcast where we explore the lore and story of Hydaelyn and beyond. My name is Jen, and I'm joined by my co-host and researcher.
I'm Levi.
Sup, Levi?
What's up, Jen? We are keeping on that MSQ.
Sure.
Today we got some big events to cover.
Pretty big.
P-big.
P-big. Yeah. So, Jen, what happened last time?
Good question. What did happen last time, Jen?
Last time we fought on behalf of our friend Tataru because she and Elfino had been fingered as heretics, or at least elbowing with
Phrasing, Jen.
heretics by one of the Heavensward. And she named us as champion to fight in her stead. We fought a couple of dudes. We won.
Just some dudes.
A couple of dudes of the Heavensward, no big. So we win, and Elfino and Tataru are freed. But immediately after, we get summoned to the throne room, and we meet the Archbishop, who apologizes for the fact that our friends were fingered as heretics. And a representative from the Heavensward apologizes also on their behalf. And then Thornton the Seventh makes everybody leave the room, and then he's like, let's talk about Ascians. And he tells us that he has been courted by the Ascians, and he understands their motives completely, and so he's just stringing them along until they can figure out how to deal with them. But he wanted to be completely transparent in that fact, and he would like our help in teaming up against them, and that's where we leave off.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. That was very succinct.
Cool. Right on.
Well, after all that happened, we got word from Tataru that General Raoban is to be executed.
This isn't good.
It is not good.
Not good.
So we are going to head to Limsa to find out more about that.
Yes. So we go to Limsa, and we're going to meet with Admiral Merlveb. So we take the lift, we ascend to the bridge, and speak with the Admiral. Storm Marshal Slafferson is also present in the room, but it's just the four of us, Alfino, Warrior of Light, Admiral, Marshal. So Alfino shares how he's been surprised at the lack of hounding we've received, being, fugitives and all. And he thinks perhaps the Admiral had a little something to do with that. And she confirms, yes, she and the Elder Seedseer convinced the Syndicate to suppress the announcement of our charges, or of charges against us, until such time that suitable evidence can be presented to confirm our guilt. So thank you for that. Merlvib then shares that in the days before her death, the Sultana summoned her and Khan-E to her chambers to discuss her decision to abdicate the throne. And this is in an attempt to clear the way for Ul'dah to become a republic.
And Alphino is shocked by this news. The Sultana confided in us, but apparently we've kept this information from Alphino all this time. So now he's just hearing it. He's the last one to know. Kind of awkward. But now this revelation gives Alphino the chance to go all Sherlock Holmes on us, making sweeping conclusions with a shred of circumstantial evidence. He wonders, having somehow caught wind of her plan, Lolorito and Teleji plotted the Sultana's assassination in hopes of maintaining the constitutional status quo. But they must have known that her death would sow as much chaos as her abdication. Chaos from which Teleji alone, only him, Jen, would feasibly stand to profit.
That's a weird statement, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Surely, Lolorito would never knowingly, could it be? Dare I not hope?
For fucking what?
Alphino has put it all together. It's all figured out.
Yeah, it's so easy. It's so clear. Slofferson pipes in here and says that the Ul'dah authorities still haven't announced the Sultana's passing. They've told the public that she's quote-unquote convalescing from an illness. maybe they're just waiting for the right moment to inform the public, or perhaps there's a different reason to delay the announcement. Curious. Either way, Alfino turns the conversation over to our actual purpose here.
Yes, Sherlock Alfino is still on the case. He was dismayed to learn that General Raoban is to be executed, yet upon hearing the news, he could not help but wonder why he had been kept alive for so long. Yes, Alfino, there are no reasons why a political figure might be kept alive. None. But no, says Alfino, if his enemies truly wished to eliminate him, they could have done so immediately. I see no reason, Jen. He sees no reason for this delay. Merylvib shares that Raoban had been held in the Marasaja pit within Ul'dah, but he has recently been moved to an unknown location. 'Twas not the brass blades that spirited him away, but a band of soldiers decked in blue.
Ah, yes. The
Blue adders.
No. The,
Blue balls.
No, what was that? Like the dandy Warhols, the fucking, remember the pirates with like the pink face and the blue, and they infiltrated the Rogues Guild.
What?
It was like the dandy something, I swear to God. They all dressed in blue and they had like pink face, like war paint.
Is this the Rogues Guild questline?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
This sounds vaguely familiar, Jen, but that has been ages. That was so long ago.
This is gonna drive me nuts. A dainty dilemma. That sounds correct. Or maybe it's dainty.
The dainty dilemmas.
The dainty something. The dainty demolishers.
Okay. Yes, it must have been the dainty demolishers.
Deep cut. No, actually, it was the Crystal Braves.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, it seems that the relationship between the Braves and Lolorito has tarnished somewhat. Because now the Braves are kind of doing their own shit. Alfino takes responsibility here. He's like, I gave birth to these guys and they're my responsibility. And Merylvib is like, yep, spoken like a true leader. Okay, and then, so now we must find Raoban quickly. He is a key part of the Eorzean Alliance.
Well, Jen, I got good news for you, because the Domans are on the case.
Yeah.
And we can find our Doman contact in the Kitchens of Revenant's Toll. We head over and we find Higiri. She is the one who mostly hung out in the Rising Stones break room, helping out with cooking and supply stuff. She also had a brief flame for Thancred.
Well, it's to be expected.
Join the club.
Right? So, Higiri tells us that the Crystal Braves stormed into the Rising Stones, kicked everybody out, and took the place over. Story of our lives, the Scions, right? And so, but ever since, she has hung out in Mordona and kept an eye on things, as the Domans do. So recently, at the same time that Raoban was removed from his cell in the Marasaja pit, Yu Hase and a few members of the Third were seen leaving the Rising Stones. Thinking this was no coincidence, she tells us to meet Deware at Highbridge.
Which we do. So we meet up now at Highbridge in Eastern Thanalan, and we find Deware, who is another Doman who is clad in ninja garb. Also, Higiri is here, likewise clad in ninja garb.
Oh, they got their game faces on.
Jen,
yes.
I did not realize that Higiri was a ninja. I thought she was a civilian.
Rude.
Just shows you that she's good at her job.
Yeah. So Deware explains that Raoban has been taken to Halatali, where they think the execution will take place. So we arrive at the gate.
This may be to spite Raoban, for Halatali was instrumental in his rise to fame and fortune.
It's disgusting. So we arrive at the gate of Halatali, and we're all crouching there at the entrance, figuring out a strategy here. Hozan, this is another guy that kind of hung around the Rising Stones. He tells us that Ilberd, that fucker, entered the training grounds right before we arrived, and that pretty much means that Raoban is being held inside. So as we're stealthily observing the entrance, Yugiri drops in, like literally. And Alfino was like, oh my god, Lady Yugiri, awesome! And she's also like, hey, dude, I'm glad to see the quote-unquote light of resolve is back in your eyes once more. And he's like, yeah, I was in a bad spot there for a while, but I have found a purpose and I will not lose it again. And she's like, good for you. Anyway, she says that they've been closely watching the Crystal Braves' movements for any sign of the Scions' whereabouts, but no such intel has yet been gathered, which is a bummer. But so now we're on to let's save Raubon. So she instructs Hosan to create a distraction to draw the guards away from the entrance, and then she, Alfino, and I will go in and attempt a rescue of Raubon.
Well, Jen, Hosan creates a distraction by becoming surrounded by a bright, glowing light. This is a solo duty.
Yes. We basically get just like a little mini Halatali.
Maybe a mini Halatali, Jen. This is a huge duty. This is like a long-ass deal.
No. This feels awesome.
Yeah, I really miss this long instance adventure type deal.
Yes.
They did not really do this at all in Dawn Trail. And I kind of miss like these kind of bigger set piece type experiences.
100%. Yeah, this felt great.
Yep. So we're in Halatali. We make our way into the entrance, and we have to travel all the way through the gauntlet to the circular arena at the far end. It is very satisfying, Jen, to beat up the Braves in here. I'll tell you what.
With ease, frankly.
And if you take shortcuts by jumping through the gaps in the fence, your buddies Alfino and Yugiri follow you, and Alfino makes these whoomps when he jumps down from the upper levels.
That's great. Eventually, we do find Raubon. He is imprisoned within a Magitech-fueled force field of some kind, and we are not ready to just destroy the contraption because we feel like that will kill all of us or it's a trap or something. So we need to find the actual key to turn this thing off.
Alfino concludes that one of the Braves has the key on them, so we will have to go looking for it. But don't worry, someone informs us that will not be necessary. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Jin's favorite Lalafell, Yu Yu Hase, appears on the scene behind us to inform us that we are gonna get poisoned.
Oh.
Pray do not take it personally, friends. You are victims of harsh economic circumstances.
Oh, the economic anxiety.
Happily, you will not suffer for long. This poison will convey you swiftly onto the bosom of Tal, where I hope to join you after many prosperous years. He leaves, and the portcullis that separates us from the rest of Halatali slams shut, and the whole dungeon fills with a thick green gas. We start taking quite a bit of damage over time, and the gas also limits healing. So now we are going to be racing against time, less so for us, more so for Raubon, because Raubon has like a health counter in the corner of the screen, which is our real time limit.
Yeah.
But first, we have to break through that portcullis. So we and Alfino burn it down. Then we backtrack to the entrance, fighting poison slimes, to find this mister that is dispensing the gas. After we smash it, the gas clears. But we still need that key. So now we head into the first wing of the dungeon, beating up a squad of Braves to locate the key to Raubon's prison force field mechanism. We return to Raubon and we free him, and we're about to quit this place, but another unwelcome figure makes an entrance.
A couple, actually.
Ilberd jibes. I should have known. What are clever contrivances to the warrior of light?
Yeah.
Well done, hero. And now, Jen, it's time to face down the Crystal Braves top asshole squad. We got Ilberd. We got Yu Yu Hase. We have Laurentius.
I knew it!
He claims, I am no hero. Never was, never will be.
Well, good for you, bro.
There are also a couple scrub Braves in the brawl, too.
Yeah. So we fight these guys.
There's no real mechanics here. It's just like one big melee.
Sure, yeah. And I mean, obviously we don't kill anybody. It's just they decide, like, we're going to run away now. So after we've kind of beat them into submission, Alphino tells Ilberd, give up. It's over, Ilberd. Lay down your arms and surrender yourself to justice. And Ilberd has a bit of a meltdown here. Justice? Justice for what exactly? 'Twas not I who assassinated the Sultana, boy. And Alphino responds, ere we debate who is responsible for the assassination, I would ask whether an assassination took place at all. And Ilberd is like, oh, this clever little shite. So, spoilers, Alphino figured it out.
But now, Jen, Ilberd calls us out, the warrior of light.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, Jen, this does sting me personally.
He's not entirely off base.
He is 90% correct, but we as the player are powerless to actually see this as a wake-up call and adjust our course. Our guy is going to keep on being a tool in a sense because it's not the kind of game where you can decide.
But honestly, there's a choice and there's a perception, and some of the context here does change. So, Ilberd here, he really kind of lashes out at us, but it's big time projection.
If you think you fight for justice, lad, you'd best wake up. Truth is, you fight for whoever bloody well tells you to. Can you not see you're being used? By the Scions, the city-states, even the Crystal Braves. They, none of them, care a whit what you want, only what you can do for them. And how do I know this? Because I'm the same.
A pawn to be used as my masters see fit. All I ever wanted was to liberate my homeland, and I ate dirt to make it happen. But what have I achieved after all these years in servitude? Nothing. Not a bloody thing.
If we ourselves are not free to think and act, how are we ever to reclaim our homeland? Know this, there is nothing I would not give to take back Al Amigo. Nothing. Ilberd throws down a flash bomb, and as we are recovering, he has put a few hundred feet between us and him. Alphino makes to chase him, but Yugiri stops him, pointing out that Raoban is in extremely rough shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is not the time. We'll get them later. And we have never seen Raoban this vulnerable and his spirit this low. He calls himself a cripple and a fool, and I understand why he would say these things, but, Alphino says, we are all fools of fate, and even a fool has a role to play. And we encourage him to rebound. You have a dialogue option here, which is like, I forget the first one, but the second one was like, stand up, gladiator. We got a lot of work to do. I picked that one, and the first one was we stand with you. So they're both like great, but I wanted to remind him, like, bro, you are who you are. Get your ass up. We're gonna continue on. And I think that shows a little bit more respect for him. I don't know. I mean, they both do, obviously, but that was my choice. And I think Alphino's response here was also very diplomatic and encouraging. So Raoban repeats Ilberd's words to him in that there is nothing he wouldn't give to see Ilberd pay for what he has done. And you're like, oof, correct, agreed. So Alphino then tells Raoban, and we're still standing in the middle of Halatali, by the way. Alphino tells Raoban that Lolorito has yet to announce the Sultana's passing, and obviously this is strange. Raban is confused. And Alfino confirms that, that's what we all thought. And that's why he thinks there's a possibility that she still lives. And Raban's like, are you serious? And Alfino's like, yeah, I think so. Anyway, Yugiri is like, we need to get out of here. So we get out of here. And outside, Yugiri instructs her comrades to scour the perimeter for signs of Ilbert's direction, where he fled. As we're doing that, a mysterious man in a cloak.
A, quote, dark stranger.
Dark stranger.
Even though he's in a light desert gray robe.
Correct. Yeah, he's like a blonde dude in a light-colored cloak. It is not ominous whatsoever. He is like, hello there! And all of us are like, our hackles are raised, and we demand that he identify himself. And he says he comes at his mistress's instruction, and she is a friend. Like, okay. He says we should return to the Waking Sands.
Jen, we have to pray return to the Waking Sands.
Pray. Return to the Waking Sands.
Yes.
Where Urianger awaits us. And this mysterious stranger has also brought a carriage to carry Raban away from prying eyes. I'm like, okay, great. This totally checks out. Let's go back to the Waking Sands. Raban, get in this strange dude's carriage. All of this is on the up and up, surely. So being a trusting bunch, we head to the Waking Sands. Though Alfino was like, you know what, I contacted Urianger via Link Pearl and he confirmed that this is all correct. So why didn't Urianger contact Alfino via Link Pearl and say, hey, I'm sending a dude down there to pick you up? Whatever.
At the Waking Sands, we find Urianger and Pippin and Papashan.
Yes.
Pippin and Raban have a tearful reunion, but someone tells us, save your tears.
Yeah, don't you dare. You've been rescued from a prison that you've been in for probably weeks and weeks.
But save your tears, the Sultana yet lives. And out comes a Lalafell with a dork-ass hat.
Sugarloaf hat.
Dork-ass hat.
Yeah, she looks like Merlin,
Jen, I swear I had the same exact hat in like a stupid wizard costume when I was 6 or something.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's why. Anyway.
This hat... This is a gold hat with a big star pattern embroidered on the front.
So
it is a straight up cone with like a little spongy ring around the base of it.
It's a sugarloaf hat, man. Yeah. It's
not everyone knows what that means,
garb.
Jen.
She's an older woman, and she's the head of the Order of Naldal. So she's probably a traditionalist, and she also is going to look like she works in magic. And that's exactly what she looks like.
What is her name, Jin?
She introduces herself as Dulala, head of the Order of Naldal and a member of the Syndicate. The gist? We have all been had by Lolorito.
Raban wants to know about that Sultana. Is it true? Is she alive? But now Dulala calls us out personally. Young man / woman, I understand you were with the Sultana when she drank from the poisoned goblet and collapsed. Would I be correct in assuming that you did not personally verify her Grace's vital signs?
Oh no, we had no
Jen,
time.
What is this shitty fucking gotcha? We got arrested like 2 seconds after she collapsed.
This was obviously a plot because she collapsed and literally 5 seconds later, the whole, Teleji and the lady in waiting and a bunch of brass blades burst in. Teleji runs over and puts his finger on her neck. She's dead. And then we're whisked away.
There's something very sweaty about this whole segment, Jen, where it feels like everyone's trying to assure us, the player, that everything is legit, that this isn't bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Raban is also annoyed, like I am. I appreciate that.
Why ask when 'tis plain you know the answer?
Dulava explains that you are all victims of a most ingenious ruse.
Great.
A ruse conceived to eliminate the threat posed by Teleji Adeleji.
Okay.
'Tis my belief that Teleji plotted the Sultana's assassination alone, but that Lolorito caught wind of his plot and exploited it to his own ends. He sought to manipulate you into eliminating Teleji for him, and you duly obliged. At one fell swoop, he removed his 2 foremost rivals, all the while remaining above suspicion.
God strike me down for a fool. But the Sultana, how can it be that she lives?
Yeah, so, and also the lady-in-waiting is on Lolorito's payroll and not Telegi's. So she swapped Telegi's actual deathly poison for basically like a strong sedative that mimicked the effects of, or the symptoms of death. And the news of her assassination played right into Raubon's emotions, and he cut Telegi down, and bada boom, bada bing. That anybody
Direct quote.
Right. That anybody could foresee that happening is bonkers, but we're just here, man.
That is not the most bonkers part about this plot, IMO. That Raubon would react with murderous rage about the Sultana's death, alleged death. But Raubon swears he will never forgive Lolorito for his part in this, but Dulala points out, though Lolorito's hands are far from clean, they did pluck her grace from the jaws of death. That must count for something.
I guess. So then this is also kind of a stretch. She says that, in regards to Lolorito, the reason why he didn't piggyback on Telegi's plan to assassinate the Sultana and completely tear apart the Sultanate and, turn the whole thing into an oligarchy or whatever is because, well, the man desires power, but he also desires stability.
Jen, only Telegi stands to benefit from the Sultana's death.
So false. That's completely unbelievable. That's a ridiculous thing to say. So, but, apparently Lolorito, he has no desire to depose the Sultana because, again, stability and blah, blah, blah. And Dulala's motivations align more with ours and the end of the Sultana, saying that Ulda's true wealth lies in the health, happiness, and hopes of her people.
I took this as being a placation, honestly, on our part, because she says before then, Jen, that she did not take sides in the feud between the royalists and the monetarists. After this happened, she stepped in. So I see her more as a both sides person, I think, than being aligned with the Sultana's vision. She just wants things to keep on as they were before, so she rebalanced the scales. That is my takeaway from her statement, even though she does, as a manipulation, quote, that we should not forget her grace's words, that the true wealth in Ulda lies in the health, happiness, and hopes of her people.
Just playing lip service to the Scions.
That is my read
sounds great.
on
We
that, yes.
Totally agree with that. Anyway, so she's going to handle whatever, but our part is going to be finding the Sultana. Figure out that mystery, figure out where she's being held, save her, blah, blah.
Well, it's not our part, but it is going to be the part of Raubon and Pippin and all that.
Yeah.
But Jen, we have a different role because we are pinged by Tataru. There is another summons. We are desperately needed back in Ishgard. So we're going to peace out from here and leave this all behind us.
Yep.
Almost.
Yep. Okay, good luck, guys.
And that's where we leave off for today. There you have it, Jen. 5 patches of story, and we're back to where we started. Rocks fall, everyone lives.
Yep. We do still have some Scions missing, but, everybody's good. We're missing an arm, and...
This plot point makes me legit angry, Jen. This is...
You've been talking about this for a while.
To this day, one of the most frustrating story developments to me.
Yeah. It makes you feel like an absolute jerk. We're so dumb. We got totally manipulated, but also being fed lines only one person stood to profit from the Sultana's death. And the fact that one of the other monetarists found out about this plot and decided to do yet another triple cross in a way that excused the fact that Sultana still lived. And so we could all feel good about that. Just a lot of appeasement. And
well, that's the thing is that
just kind of we can't have people die.
It's after all that shit, we're back to where we started. Nothing came of everything.
Nothing's different. We're gonna find the Sultana. She's gonna go back to her job, and I mean, Telegi's dead, but other than that, Again, it's like the whole patch series got erased because Telegi arose during the patch series, and now he is like he never existed, Correct.
and the whole thing never existed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what's more upsetting, though, Jen, is that the death scene was so well sold as well. That was so well earned by the story because of how much build up and how much of like the anxiety and the concern and all that before then. So if anyone deserved to die in terms of narrative payoff, not in terms of moral Jen payoff, but narrative payoff, it's the Sultana. And now they threw that all in the trash for this cheap switcheroo.
Because we're little weak babies. We can't handle people dying in our game.
But also, Jen, besides that moment, her death is also super played up in the Heavensward transition too. If you watched the FMV, Jen, for Heavensward before we went into this time, the first thing in the Heavensward FMV is a pre-rendered scene of the Sultana lying on the ground with wine like blood spilled.
For sure. Yeah.
And then our character walks alone through the snows of Kurthis, slamming the pillar with his fist. He's so angry about what happened.
Yep, just kidding. She's fine. Probably.
But also, Jen, this undermines the legitimacy of mortal threats in the future of this game, too.
Yeah, we can't trust any of this.
It's kind of shitty, but it's a reaction for me internally to, like, not believe in mortality in this game until the body's in front of us and 5 people have confirmed they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
It cheapens the actual death moments because I'm going to withhold judgment on this development.
Yeah, I'm not going to have any strong feelings about this whatsoever until I get confirmation. So I'm going to continue with the assumption that they are alive somewhere, and that sucks. It completely saps all of the weight out of the moment.
Yep.
And as much as we love fucking Nanamo and what she stood for, like, her actually dying would have been like so tremendous for this story. Like,
right?
God, can you imagine like the aftermath of her death and a scramble to take control of the city, and then the Alliance having to step in without like causing an actual war to make sure that, like, the assholes didn't turn Ul'dah into an oligarchy, and just, God, can you imagine? God.
I can, Jen.
Anyway.
But it will be only imagination.
Correct.
Anyway, that is all I have to say, Jen, about that. Aside from the actual plot beats, this segment is fun. That dungeon is a lot of fun.
Oh, it was great.
It's nice to see the domes again. I've got nothing against all that shit. The Raban rescue, very good.
Yeah, it is.
That's all I gotta say for the day, Jen. Anything else for you?
No, until next time.
All right, well, next time we'll be taking a break from the EMSQ. Because we hung out with all those domens, let's go ahead and do some ninja story.
And that will do it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for listening, and thank you for encouraging the assassination of a beloved character in the interest of bolstering the narrative. If you would like to get in touch with us, you can at podreturnffxiv@gmail.com. Check us out on Blue Sky at podreturnffxiv. Check our show notes for the Discord. You can log in, join group runs, share pictures of your pets, share memes, glams, or talk about, like, your life. It's just a really amazing group of people, and we would love to have you. And finally, our Patreon, patreon.com/podreturnffxiv. For $1 a month, you get access to everything else that we do, including the seasonal episodes of 14, our Final Fantasy XI series, Vanity Elvan Splainer, and coming up soon, we talk about the newly released tabletop RPG, Final Fantasy XIV. Like, the actual starter handbook has come in, and we've done some scenarios with listeners, and it's great, and we're going to release some episodes about that, so check it out. And with that, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a good day or night, and we will see you next time.